Welcome to the Escape and Empower podcast. Escape from the corporate rat race to empowered franchise ownership. Are you ready to take control of your destiny, follow your dreams, and live life on your own terms? Join our hosts, Dave and Pete, for insights on how to break free from the corporate grind, ditch the 9-to-5, and step into empowered franchise ownership.
Good morning. Welcome to the Escape and Empowered podcast. My name is Dave Greenberg. I'm a co-host of this podcast. I'm here with Pete Gilfillan.
Good morning, Dave.
Pete, how are you this morning? It's a good day to kind of kick off with something that's very top of mind for a lot of people.
Well, certainly I'm pumped up about the topic. I mean, it's not a happy topic, but it's a topic that impacts so many people. And I thought about this. I had read an article by Ray Smith, and it was released in early December. And the topic of his article was the number of Americans wanting to switch jobs hits a 10-year high. Bottom line is that people are just frustrated. They're frustrated in their jobs. And you and I work with executives all the time that are just frustrated. They're not happy. They're not satisfied. And so as opportunities are harder to come by, more workers are feeling stuck and detached from their jobs. And so I thought we'd kind of talk about I think there are about 10 things that we can kind of share from the article of why people are unhappy and are wanting to switch jobs.
That sounds awesome. You're right. It's a topic that when we get talking to our candidates, we dig deep and try to discover the whys behind what they're doing when they come and explore franchise opportunities with us. But when you really dig deep, I find a lot of them have kind of maxed out on the career growth and advancement. And things have the opportunities are starting to shrink in front of them, whether it's because of the corporate world is shrinking itself or ageism is starting to jump in front of them. The job markets may be cooling, but why people want to switch jobs, the lack of career growth and advancement opportunities is one of the key drivers.
No question. I just read that one of the consulting firms, they had the fewest number of partners brought in this year.
Oh, man.
Or offers to become partners. And so, that's real, right? Everybody wants to continue to grow, to move up, to make more money and that kind of stuff. And when it's stagnant, when you don't have a clear path, can lead to frustration and feel like you're not going anywhere with your career. So certainly that lack of career growth and advancement is one. What would be another example of why somebody would be unhappy and want to, go find another job or invest in a franchise?
Yeah, back in the corporate days of our career, you and I were either subject to this or we were subjecting our people to this, because when you restructure and when you downsize, the work necessarily doesn't go away. You just start loading up the people that are remaining with the work. People talk about AI and all that stuff, but it will sort itself out over time. But when you get into that position, and it sometimes doesn't come with more pay, it comes with more work. And it's kind of frustrating, and it burns people out and it stresses people out, and people start to get overworked in something. Then that's why they're thinking it's a time for change.
And you and I have been there. It is where all of a sudden you're realigning and there's 3 people, now there's 1, right? They don't reduce all the activities that need to be done. That was one of the things with Ford, is that as we had set things we always were supposed to do, and as they reduced the size of the organization, they didn't cut out some of the stuff that wasn't necessarily needed, right? Yeah. And that was very frustrating, and it burns people out because they want to do right. They want to do a good job, but when you are putting more on their plate and they can't get it done, bottom line is that just leads to, again, frustration, and they're done, right? Yeah. For sure.
It kind of follows on by, another one is that we see in this article is lack of purpose and meaningful work. That's tough when you really don't see the value add of all your efforts and contributions. And maybe some of those efforts and contributions don't have impact. And it's just tough to wake up and go to work in that world. That's why I love being an entrepreneur, and because I create my purpose. We talked about goal setting in another podcast, but having that purpose and meaningful work when you're running your own business, you wake up every day ready to, eat what you kill. It's just fantastic. So, it is happening out there where people in the corporate world are lacking a purpose. And that's why some of the candidates that we see come and talk to us.
I think contribution or purpose is so important. And, as we look at it, when you don't have purpose, and it's not about the money for many people, and certainly you have to make money, you have to have a good living, but it is about purpose. And that's why people are leaving teams, is that there's no purpose associated with it. It's just a job. When you're all part of an organization working towards making something better, or it's meaningful work, that's significant. That leads to happiness or engagement of the employees. But when you don't have that purpose and you don't have that meaning with your work, it can be very dissatisfying.
The other one, Pete, that I noticed that was, stagnant pay and compensation. I was like, oh man, that's why everyone needs to talk to us, because why don't you get 100% of the profit? Stock options come and go, prices rise and fall, but and it's not because of your efforts or lack of efforts or overachievements. The wonderful thing that, as an entrepreneur, or even in the franchise world, the world's your oyster. How big is big? What you put in is what you often talk about. What you put in and what you're going to get out. Don't forget, you have to work hard when you're an entrepreneur. You have to work hard when you start a franchise. But, you're not going to be dealing with stagnant pay and compensation, because you're going to drive what you want.
Yeah, no question that you have complete control over your income. But when we're in the corporate world, right, we're trying to decide, okay, are they going to offer a merit pool this year, right? and you know what, the merit pool is 1.5% this year, and you go, well, yeah, but inflation's running at 6%, right? You're going backwards, and it doesn't work, right? It's just. Bottom line is that people get frustrated, or we're not getting bonuses this year because it was a tough year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I keep talking about Ford, but Ford just announced that the managers, their bonuses are going to be tied to quality improvements, right? And many of the managers at Ford don't have direct impact in regards to quality, but they will, most likely have their bonus impacted by that. And it's just not necessarily fair.
When you start thinking of that and the other things that some of these companies are going through, disruptive organizational changes, people just get frustrated. Constant change in their organization, restructuring, downsizing, shifting in strategy, the new agenda of the day. Yeah, just leave all that behind and start, driving your own organization, and the changes that you're going to make to your business is going to lead to better things for you, not just being a cog in the wheel.
I mean, we were at Ford, right? And we were always reorganizing the field, right? We go from a small field to a large field, right? Large offices or small offices and stuff like that. And it's so disruptive, right? Yeah. You lose 6 months to a year. It absolutely amazes me that we don't always look at the benefits associated or the disadvantages associated with the reorganizations, right? And I know many ways we have to do that to realign our workforce, but it can be so disruptive. And to your point, if you can have your own business where you're driving the changes, that'll be less disruptive for sure.
The other one, Pete, I just think of you all the time, because you had one of the hardest jobs in the company running. I think they used to call it contests and incentives or pricing or whatever they call it today. If you weren't in at 6:30 and having the new programs out to the dealers by 9, you were losing out on sales opportunities. So there was no balance for you. And I know Shannon and all the kids put up with it, but work-life balance, is something that can kind of escape you in the corporate world. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, companies continue to demand more, and you end up giving your life away to the corporation. And that's hard, because you miss the time with your family. You never get that back. And I learned the hard way. And that's one of the reasons why that I left the corporate world, is that I wanted to take back control of my life or have a flexible schedule. So didn't mean I wanted to work less. I like working. I mean, I'm a work dog, but I want to be able to go to a soccer game or go on a date with my wife at 5 o'clock. Bottom line is, I'll work hard before, hard after, but bottom line is I want to have that balance, because again, you don't get back life events. If you miss them, you're done. You don't get them back. And so this is a big one. And I can see why many executives are looking to change jobs because they just don't have the work-life balance.
Yeah, and especially with, people kind of enjoyed that work-life balance through COVID and all of this remote work kind of stuff, now hybrid models. But, everyone's getting called back to the office. As you get called back to the office, if you've been enjoying a little bit of that balance, it might be gone for a reason. And, one thing I personally enjoy is I'm the captain of my own calendar. I set my own priorities in my day and my week. I don't start work on my calendar until 1 on Mondays because I don't want to do the Saturday morning errands because I gotta work Sunday night to get ready for the week. I do that on Monday mornings. And now I decide, right, when my accountability meetings happen or my weekly staff meetings. It's kind of nice to think about your lifestyle. And if remote work is disappearing, and I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing this high level of people considering job changes, entrepreneurial pursuit can solve that permanently.
You think about Amazon, right? Announced all people coming back to the executives back to the office, right? And you think about some of the people, their commutes were an hour there, hour back. I mean, and you and I have lived that, right? When I lived in Atlanta,
right.
The commutes were incredibly long and you were in that office no matter what. But for me, it was 7 a.m. and you weren't leaving before 6 p.m. But that hour then at the end of the day or getting up early to get there, that's a big deal. And so people got a little bit of a taste of having that flexibility. And in some ways, I think they're more efficient because I don't have the 2 hours of commute. In an office, you lose a lot of productivity because people stop by your office and say, hey, by the way, do you have a minute?
That's right.
All of a sudden you get stuck and stuff like that. So I think this is a reason why people are frustrated and wanting to look jobs is they're being required to go back into the office full-time or a substantial amount of time.
Feedback and communication is super important. And it came out in this article. That's how employees, the lack of feedback and the lack of communication is something that's creating a bit of dissatisfaction. In the corporate world, people get pretty focused on their agenda and, everything rolls downhill, but sometimes, if you don't get that feedback, you get isolated and, undervalued. And I just feel that as an entrepreneur, at least in franchising, you're not on an island by yourself and you're with your employees and customers all the time. Constant feedback and communication is part of your experience in the workplace, not what you're looking for from someone else that you work for.
Yeah, and I think being in the corporate world, you have leaders that aren't effectively keeping the organization up to date on what's going on.
Right.
And this is so important because again, it's not about the pay, and pay is important. Don't get me wrong, but it's about feeling like you're part of something.
Right.
We talked about this before, but you have to be, as a leader, kind of clearly letting people know where we're going, how we're going to get there, and continuing to provide feedback of how they individually are helping the organization move forward, because people want to be contributing, they want to be part of something. And if you're not communicating and letting people know where we're at and how they're helping, that leaves dissatisfaction, certainly.
So what about burnout and mental health? The article mentioned burnout and mental health struggles.
I think no question about it. It's just the world has changed and we all went through COVID, and I think that brought more awareness to mental health issues. The idea of burning out, and I like some of these companies, they're doing some stuff, but they have to be cognitive of that there is a lot of pressure on people, and we as a society don't do a good job of helping people with mental health issues. And so there are so many resources out there, but if companies aren't focused on helping employees stay non-burned out or engaged or having that purpose and working on mental health, because it's real, it's just something we don't talk about a lot. And I think corporations, good companies, are helping people work through that.
So, Pete, I've been thinking about this, and collectively, it's kind of like a bit of a downer. Let's talk about overworked, undervalued.
You mean it's kind of depressing?
Yeah, man. I'm so glad I don't have to think about changing jobs because I work for myself. But your book, Hire Yourself, your mantra is like perfect for that. So How would you move out? How would you help someone move out of this kind of the stuff that we just talked through to hire yourself?
Well, I think the idea is that you're unhappy in your job, right? And you have
Right.
many different options. You kind of explore your path going forward. You can go look for more corporate jobs. It may be all the same kind of issues that you're having now, but you can go look for another corporate job. You can say, listen, I want to take my expertise and do some consulting. Hard to find engagements, but that's a path people take. You can go look for existing businesses, but those a lot of times are hard to find. They're a diamond in the rough, generally what I found. And then what we work with is people to explore franchising, and franchising is booming. Franchising, there are over 4,000 franchise companies, and it's a big part of our economy. It's in every industry. The benefit of a franchise is that it's set up perfect for executives that have the business acumen, they have the leadership skills, and they want to leverage that by investing in a franchise. And a franchise brings to the table the systems, the process, the procedures. And so it's a great match of somebody that's bringing experience, that got the capital, they want to leverage a franchise system to build their own business where they can control their own destiny, live life on their own terms, and certainly to build wealth. And so as we talk about being happy, Hire Yourself is all about the path to getting to where you can be in control of your destiny and live life on your own terms and build wealth, to escape the corporate world. And so I'd encourage anybody that is unhappy in the corporate world to at least look at the path of franchise ownership. And it's not for everybody. But the nice thing is that you and I both help people with whether the Empowered Franchisee or Hire Yourself. You can go to either one of our websites, and we're here for you. We're here to learn a little bit about what you're looking for, what you'd want to accomplish with a franchise, and then connecting you or taking you through the process of evaluating to see if franchising is right for you. So there's some great resources out there. If you're unhappy, there's no reason why you don't explore new paths where you can be in control of your life.
And don't forget, Pete and I have walked in your shoes for those people that are listening. We were both corporate folks. We both made the switch to become entrepreneurs and own our own business through franchising. And now we help people do the same, and we share all the decades of experience that we have for free. Give us a call, set up 15 minutes on your calendar to connect with Pete or Dave, and we'll help you understand and see if it makes sense to work together and explore the opportunity of owning your own business through franchising.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. This was an incredible subject. I just want to change the title of it. Not the number of Americans wanting to switch job hits a 10-year high. It's really the number of Americans wanting to hire yourself hits a record high.
Yeah, right. Live life on your own terms and enjoy yourself.
All right, Pete. That was a great subject. I really appreciate you bringing it to our attention today.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Escape and Empower podcast. We hope today's discussion has inspired you to consider franchise ownership as a path to living life on your own terms. Start your journey towards financial freedom and flexibility. Connect with Dave at empoweredfranchisee.com or Pete at hireyourself.com. Until next time.